Hi Cancer, welcome to your April 2018 General Tarot reading. It's Raina here, shuffling the cards. I will do that. Oops. I put my, this is a card I'm using for the shadow position. Just to incorporate the Wild Unknown Tarot deck because it's such a gothic deck, you know. I don't know if I want to use all the cards for one reading, but I might do that in the future too. But just for the shadow or the challenge position, I'll show you in a second as I getting some major arcana cards here. Somebody's revving up for their solar eclipse. Okay, this is the last card. Okay, that's that. Oh, I did that. This is the second time I've done that. I was supposed to pick a card for the shadow. I'm going to pick, well, it was meant to be, I guess. With one of the other signs, I actually picked two cards, but I'm going to just leave it like that. Or, let's see, let me just... Okay, I'm going to... I think these are beautiful cards, though. I'm going to put this just to the side, and when I get to it, I will mention it. The heart of the matter, the focus of April, symbolically for Cancer, is represented by the Page of Swords. So communication, we go into the month with the Mercury retrograde, and this is your 10th house of career. The Page of Swords is kind of wary about something. Even in the upright position, you're definitely, you've got your, I don't want to mix metaphors, your backup, is that the phrase? But you're kind of like, what's going on here? Is somebody trying to do this? And being very vigilant about your situation. Maybe waiting on a decision in some cases. Again, since this is your career sector, there could have been renegotiations taking place, or just simply you're waiting to hear back from some place that you interviewed at. And in mid-April, things should start to break when Mercury goes direct, and also on the same day, there's a new moon in that 10th house. So that could just make things start to rock and roll again. And the Page of Swords can also be a child who has learning disabilities. Well, in the upright position, it just may be that you're concerned about one of your children, especially if they have a tendency to... It's funny, I was going to say be very sensitive, but it's not so much just like the Page of Cups where their heart is just wide open. It's more of a situation where they take offense to things too easily. And by the way, this could also apply to anybody in your life who you're having to walk on eggshells around. And what crosses you is a Hangman card. Now, you may feel very anxious, or that's not really what I'm thinking of. Just very much chomping at the bit of wanting to start a new job. Maybe you've been unemployed for a while and you think that you've got it in the bag, but you're just when are they going to call? You're a cardinal sign, Cancer, and you're in a cardinal month, or the influence of Aries is definitely there through the sun until just past the mid-month period. So that makes people much more eager to take action. And in this case, if you're waiting for somebody else to give you the green light, you may feel like you have no place to go and that you just have to sit there and accept it. And that's what the Hangman is really about, is letting go and letting God and not trying to force the issue. And but that may be hard for you at this time. In some cases, you know, if I read it as a reversed, it may be this tendency to be a little bit like, how can I put it? You know, sacrificing for somebody else, and it's like you're not getting anything for it. And the thing is, this would apply to perhaps working someplace that is not really where you want to work. And the Page of Swords, the person can be very on edge in a way, because they've got their sword like ready, at the ready. And perhaps you have been pressured, I don't know if that's the correct word, by your spouse or somebody to continue to work at this place for the good of the family. But really, it still hasn't got you any brownie points. And, you know, especially if there's like still problems within your primary relationship. But that's a different story for a different day. I just want to say that that's another possibility with the Hangman, is being a martyr. And there's a difference between giving up something that you really want for the good of somebody else and feeling good about that decision, and then this if you don't feel good about it. The kind of the source of all of this, whatever's going on, is represented by the Devil card. So that kind of goes along with what I'm saying, where you may be in a position, like let's say you are in the workplace and there's a lot of conflict. Maybe that's what the Page of Swords represents in your life. And you could leave. I mean, it's not like somebody's keeping you there, but that the Devil card is addictive behavior. And sometimes there are addictions to a certain, you know, amount of money that you make or certain lifestyle. And even if it would be good for your soul to leave, you still can't bring yourself to do it. And I just realized that I forgot to read that other challenge card, so I'm going to read it now. The Two of Cups, and this is a card of, in some cases, unrequited love. And by the way, the Devil card connects to Capricorn, and the Page of Swords, it could be any air sign, including Libra, which is another cardinal sign. I always think that that's probably the one, but Gemini is a sign right next to you, and then you have Aquarius. And so the Two of Cups may be speaking of those issues that I was talking about, where the people are not on the same page. So there's a sense of like maybe talk of divorce, or feelings like that's an inevitable thing. And maybe that Page of Swords has to do with that. Maybe you are kind of like suspicious of your partner, and you feel that your partner is doing something underhanded, and you can just tell. You're Cancer, very psychic, intuitive, whatever way it comes to, as just this general feeling. And the Devil card could be that lust that may be afflicting that your partner. And also, I think, like, we talk about lust in terms of the loins, but there's also like the lust of the sense of power, of being able to conquer somebody, you know. So that's, to me, what the ego gratification is of an affair, is that it's really, I'm desirable, and I can, like, and especially if they try to get with somebody that's married, that sense of like, I was able to infiltrate their marriage and stuff like that. So it may be that with this card, you're like procrastinating taking action when it comes to a marriage that is not happening. The Devil card can speak of timing, if, you know, Capricorn period of time. So, for instance, the last situation where that would have occurred would be at the beginning of the year, when you had you had a full moon in your sign, Cancer, And that meant that the sun was in the 7th house of marriage. And that may have been a time when you really, for whatever reason, learned a lot about yourself and what your needs are, and how you've been allowing yourself to sacrifice needlessly for somebody else who doesn't appreciate it. So that could be what's at play here. And certainly in the workplace, it can be a similar type of dynamic where the person feels like that something's going on. You know, that Page of Swords, it's like, I've had that feeling, and you're walking around and everyone else seems like they're in on the secret except for you. And they're treating you weirdly and all that. And yeah, it's just it just reminded me of something. I know this is kind of like off topic, but it's not really, because it's something that happened. And I was just sitting in this cafe, and it had like a spiritual theme in this cafe, and I was just sitting there, and there was like the people that worked there were kind of talking in very hushed tones, and I think that I witnessed one of the workers getting fired, but they had all of this beautiful like chants, mantras, and this person was getting, let go, and it was so awkward, but they were keeping it so hush-hush, and so it was just almost like this black comedy, because it was just supposed to be such a spiritual environment, and there was all this drama, and it's like, leave it to a group of women to create drama. And I'm a woman, so I can say that, but it was just kind of a strange combination of mantras and drama. And so the same kind of thing where you walk in and you don't even know, but you can tell. It's just like on that sixth sense. Sixth sense. Okay, so let's see. The spiritual message in this is represented by the Empress card. This is the card of the mother. And the Earth Mother is sensuality, creativity. And for Cancer, you are the archetype of the mother. And so, again, I was talking about the page can be a child. This may be a situation with a child that needs to be dealt with. But and you are the consummate mother that cares about the welfare of your child. But in the context of, for instance, a work situation, it may be compelling you to revisit your creative talents if you have them. I got this for another sign as well, that perhaps you're in a type of job that doesn't allow you that kind of self-expression, and you've been sacrificing for others for a long time, and now it's me time. It's time for you to cultivate these skills. And the other thing too is, if you have a child, you may decide that it's better to not subject him or her to an unhappy marriage. And so if you're afraid of breaking up the family, just think about what is happening right now, and if your child can detect the undertones, even if you're not screaming at each other in the child's presence, it still could affect the child. And also, in terms of, it's kind of interesting too, because if there's some kind of infidelity in your marriage, it can be a situation where the other person, the other woman, if there's another woman and you're the wife, is embodying that stereotypical, what do they call it? The seductress role. Now, that would be more of the reversed position. In the upright, you see the symbol for Venus. This is all about romance and owning your femininity, and I don't think a lot of Cancer women have a problem with that. But you may have let that part of you go, maybe when you had a child, and you just felt like, now it's time for me to be a mother, and put aside the sensual side of you. And maybe because you're tired, all those things. And so it could be that your partner was looking for that and couldn't let go of the need for that. And whether or not we can call that an addiction or just something that maybe could have been resolved if the two of you had talked, who knows? But I wanted to put that out there because I don't think that is such a terrible thing. The problem is when people don't communicate well, and then they just go out and try to get something on their own, and they think they can have it all, or maybe they think that their marriage is dead and they didn't even try to make it work. But I don't know how that represents your particular life. It's a spiritual card, so it's kind of funny that I'm talking about owning your sensuality. But the senses, yeah, you know what it could be too. Like, let's say you were brought up Catholic, and so you're kind of, you push that side of you away. You think there's something wrong with it. Maybe that's something that you have, you were indoctrinated into to think that that was wrong. And, there are a lot of puritanical beliefs out there, including just like pampering yourself. That's the Empress too, like self-care. Getting a massage or getting your hair done. Something that makes you feel beautiful or makes you feel relaxed. And maybe that's something that if you are going through a transition in your life, Cancer, that you need to start implementing in order to tell the universe that you honor yourself and that you deserve all the wonderful luxuries. The splits, it could be like a simple luxury. It doesn't have to be all the time, but just sometimes. And what's coming in is the Magician, which is a great card for new beginnings, but also that sense of self-empowerment, the number 1. And the infinity symbol, representing that, we are eternal beings. I'm assuming that's what it represents. So we're eternal beings, and that there's really no way you can veer off the track of your destiny, because wherever you are at this moment is right for you. And, the more that you accept yourself, I think with the Empress, it's really about accepting who you are in this moment and not trying to deprive yourself or punish yourself for not being a certain thing. And sometimes people use austerity as a way to kind of like whip themselves into shape. And I'm talking about like making a point of every day treating yourself in some way to something that represents that you honor yourself. And it doesn't have to be something that you buy. It can just be like time that you treat yourself to, that you don't have to answer to anyone, and that you don't have to do anything. You don't have to produce. You can just, relax. The Empress loves to live in the lap of luxury and be very languid on her couch, on her perch, and not have to work up a sweat. And so the Magician is about these new beginnings, and you are having a solar eclipse in July in your sign, a very powerful new moon of beginnings. July is going to come before we know it, and maybe that'll be the time that things start to really, the pieces come together, because your North Node, the transiting North Node is going into your sign, Cancer. So for the next 18 months, it's going to be, you may have like a lot of things that feel like fate, but in a good way, that feel like they were destined to happen. People you're destined to meet, experiences you're destined to have, and places you're destined to visit. And all of these can contribute to your greater sense of well-being. The outcome is the King of Cups, and this is an older man who can be even your father in some cases. Cups are water signs like you, Cancer, and Scorpio and Pisces. If this is a person that that comes into your life, whether you're currently married or not, You may be just talking to this person because maybe you still hold out hope that you're going to make it work with your partner, but this person may come into your life and they are a sounding board. He's a person that doesn't use emotions in a manipulative way. He's caring. He cares what you think, he wants to know about how you're feeling, and he has a lot of empathy for you. You may have been with somebody, especially if it was like the Page of Swords, who was very immature and was very defensive, like a Gemini person who, and I'm not picking on Gemini, but some kind of snarky, sarcastic when they feel threatened, instead of just dealing with it. Even the Virgo came into my mind, so I'm going to just say it. If that's true for anybody, even though that's not connected to the swords, it could be in terms of the mental activity and using words as a weapon. Instead of trying to communicate, trying to use words to protect one's ego. And this man is very empathetic and he's mature emotionally. He's not playing games. It could be that your father features in your life in some way. And even if he's passed on, he may be helping you from the other side. Also, this could be a counselor that you go to see so that you can make your next move. Maybe you're kind of stuck and you feel like you need to talk to somebody about the situation, maybe a marital counselor. But also, this could be like a priest or a rabbi or a minister that you know and trust, and you feel like you can share what's been going on with you and that you'll get good advice from this person. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this, Cancer, and if you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below in the description below this video. Otherwise, have an amazing April. Bye.